Hello, I'm Specs. I have a strat here that I want to show off in Link to the Past Randomizer. This is the strat I use in Lanmo 2 and Lanmo 1 when I want to get a one cycle with silvers. So you need silvers for this. And if you're doing Lanmo 2, you need to have boots. Lanmo 1, silvers is the only requirement. Boots don't make a difference. So I'm going to show how I do Lanmo 2. So with silvers. So when I started off playing rando, I could not figure out how to like time fire rod or silvers consistently from like know the timing when a one comes out of the ground and then just immediately hit them with the projectile. That's difficult when you're new. So I try to come up with an alternate strat that would mean I wouldn't need to learn the timing. I could just basically just perform a set of button inputs and it would just always work out and I wouldn't have to time anything. And I came up with the strat, and I still, over a year and a half later, like I still use the exact same strat unchanged. So I don't actually time anything when I do silvers in Lanmo 1 and Lanmo 2. I just do a preset of button inputs that I know, and it works. No timing. When I do fire rod strats and stuff that I have to time, because it's just part of it, silvers, no timing involved. So I'm going to show the Lanmo 2 strat. Again, boots and silvers are required. The boots are just required because if you're familiar with how Lanmo 2 works, the hallway in the room before Lanmo 2, if you don't dash through that room, the Lambos get more time to spawn before you even get into the room that they're in, and their pattern will be different. So if you stop to walk around this room or heal with powder, the strat won't work. You have to dash through this room with boots. So I will show you my strat. We're going to dash this room with boots. Walk around the perimeter of the wall here until I'm centered above the left Lanmo. Walk down a bit. Aim straight down. Aim straight down. Aim straight down. And I didn't time anything. I timed nothing. Basically, all I did is I came into the room. I immediately walked. I'll just do it again. So I'll just show it in steps. I walk along the perimeter of the wall. And then, when I'm centered above the left Lanmo, I stop walking on the perimeter of the wall. I walk down a little bit. Honestly, I walk down just like a half tile. You could go maybe to like a tile. But I would walk down about half a tile. You don't hold down for that long. The key part is you walk along the perimeter of the wall. You walk down just a little bit. Half a tile is good. And you are centered above the leftmost Lanmo. If you're off way to the right or the left, then you have to hope for good RNG for how the Lanmo comes out of the ground. So be centered. So after you walk along the perimeter of the wall, centered up on the left Lanmo, and you walk down about half a tile, you need to stand still at the slightest pause. You do a slight pause. The slightest pause. Then you shoot your arrow down. And that will kill the first Lanmo. And the moment you shoot that arrow, you immediately walk right, and you censor yourself above the rightmost Lanmo, and then you immediately hold down and then shoot an arrow. And then, after you shoot that arrow, you immediately walk left, center yourself above the center Lanmo, and shoot an arrow down. So once you do this, basically you do this initial walk around the walls, center above left Lanmo, walk half tile down, slight pause, shoot arrow down, walk straight right, centered above the right Lanmo, shoot down, and then immediately walk left, you're centered above the center Lanmo, shoot straight down. So, key things to understand here. Once you walk about a half tile below the wall at the beginning, you don't have to do any vertical alignment. It's all horizontal movement. The only time you're moving vertically is when you have to aim your bow down to shoot the arrow down. You tap down very briefly just to make sure that you're facing down, but you're not trying to move down, just face down. So the only timing here was that teeny tiny pause I mentioned, but it's not really timing because it's just the tiniest pause. You need that pause. It's pivotal, but it's something that really becomes muscle memory. You don't have to think about it, but when you're learning, it might throw you off at first, but you do need that pause. I'm going to do it a few more times so you can see it, but this is a strat I've used. I've used it for a year and a half. I get it almost every single time. If I mess it up, it's because I didn't center myself on the Lanmo, and I was a little bit too far left or right of the Lanmo, not because the strat failed me. There. I'll do it one more time. Hopefully I don't mess it up. I don't want to edit this video. I'm lazy. There. So yes, I hope what I said makes sense. Might be a little confusing. I said I'm walking about a half tile down. I'm actually walking less than that. It's a pretty lenient positioning. You can kind of decide for yourself what feels right, because the less you walk down from the wall, the longer your pause would have to be. But that's what works for me. That's strat I use on Lanmo 2. Now I will show you the same strat on Lanmo 1. It is slightly different, but it is the exact same idea. Again, Lanmo 2 you need boots because you have to dash into the previous room. Lanmo 1 you do not need boots. We will want silvers here. That is important. So in this one, I am again, when I walk in the room, so because we don't have a room before the Lanmo starts to load them, their loading time is a little bit different. We're also entering from the south of the screen instead of the east side. So because of that, we have to alter the beginning of the strategy. So the way I do this room is I still walk along the perimeter of the room. I will walk right into the room. I'm going to walk here to the right. I'm going to follow along the wall here, and then I'm going to center myself above the Lanmo. Now, if you just do what I just did, this will work, and then you can do the same strat as we did in Lanmo 2 of how we move between Lanmo to Lanmo and shoot the arrows. But here you just wouldn't have the pause. You take the pause out because you get to the spot a little bit later than you do with the strat than you do in the Lanmo 2 strat. So you don't need the pause. I dislike that. I think having on Lanmo 1, I don't need the pause. On Lanmo 2, I need the pause. Create this weird inconsistency in my muscle memory where I'm going to forget the pause on one of them and then not do the pause and do the pause on the wrong one. So to fix that, I make a little change to how I do the perimeter of the room when I enter. On this bottom right corner, I skip past it. And what that does is it lets me get above the left Lanmo a little bit faster, and then I can add the pause in that I use on Lanmo 2. So that way when I do Lanmo 2 and Lanmo 1, it's an identical strat. Once I'm lined up above the left Lanmo and in position, the fight's the same. So the key thing in this room is hug the wall, but skip that corner. That way you still have to add this pause here before you shoot. Okay, I was off. I was too busy talking and yakking away. Do it this time. Yeah, so that's how you do it. So it's the same strat. I again just walk the perimeter of the room, cut that corner on the bottom right. That way you still have to add the pause in. If you don't want that pause, you can cut out that little corner cut, and then you can get rid of the pause. But then when you go to do Lanmo 2, you have to add the pause back in, and it's going to throw you off. So I recommend cut the bottom right corner so you can make the fights have identical muscle memory. I promise that's the way to do it. That's what I do. You don't want to have two sets of muscle memory that are almost identical. It will throw you off. But I have found this to be very consistent. And like I said for Lanmo 2, I only mess it up when I don't center myself properly above the Lanmos. I hope this helps people. I feel like a lot of newer players would benefit from this. It can seem like a bit to learn at first, but once you start practicing it and you're comfortable with like centering yourself above the Lanmos, I promise you will find it extremely consistent, and it's something that you can reliably cycle your silvers in Lanmo 1 and Lanmo 2, and going into the future if you just put a little bit of practice and a little bit of time. I hope it helps people. Thank you.